The State of the Union is never really an even clash between the parties. It is chiefly the night of the party controlling the White House. We were just discussing this with two of our guests. But the opposition does get a turn with its televised response, although it can sometimes be dicey.
False choices like the one the president laid out tonight.
There it is. Oh, my God. Ah!
2 years ago, when Barack Obama became our president.
So here goes. 2 years ago, when Barack Obama became president. But let's be honest.
Good evening and happy Mardi Gras. What was that?
Now, that's how it can go. As for what's happening in tonight's rebuttal, there are top Republicans who say Trump is a drag on the party. That's been proven. Mitch McConnell was lamenting the failures of Trump-style candidates. But for tonight's response, the party has tapped the actual face of Donald Trump, his actual White House spokesperson, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, known to more Americans for that role, defending everything Trump did than really for anything else, at least up to this point. She now holds her father's old job as governor of Arkansas. She'll deliver this rebuttal. It's a decision that some Biden aides think is actually a great contrast between what they view as this Trumpy past, which has failed in several elections, and President Biden's vision of a future for America. We want to get into it right now with a political strategist who has worked on the Obama-Biden campaign in the past, Jay Komanduri. Welcome back, sir.
Good to be back, Ari.
We covered the speech that hasn't happened yet. Now we're going to cover the rebuttal that hasn't happened yet. It is State of the Union night in America. But you've been through your share of these. Your thoughts on the rebuttal and Sarah Huckabee Sanders, of all people, being the face of the Republican Party, whether it's past or future, I can't say.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this is an extremely difficult speech to give because you cannot match the atmosphere, the ambience, the sheer power of seeing the President of the United States in front of Congress, Supreme Court. That just cannot be matched with a response. It's very much feels like, in terms of James Bond going from Sean Connery to George Lazenby. It doesn't matter how good that movie was, and it was very good, Her Majesty's Secret Service, but you still feel you're watching a dime store ripoff copy. And I think that aspect of it makes this speech very challenging. However, the GOP, I think, has done themselves no favors by picking Sarah Huckabee Sanders. It is a pick that makes very little political sense. For Republicans to win in 2024, they must win independents. They lost independence in 2022. They lost independence in 2020. They lost independence in 2018. They must win independents. Independents are turned off by Trump and Trumpism. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is world famous for defending Donald Trump on, as press secretary. She repeated many of his lies. She came up with new lies herself. Governor has already repeated many of the Trump era gimmicks, like banning the non-existent CRT in Arkansas schools. This is not somebody who's going to reach independent voters that the GOP needs. It makes very little political sense. And it's very similar, I would say, to the decision to keep Ronna McDaniel, I guess Ronna McDaniel now is named, not Ronna McDaniel Romney, Ronna McDaniel as head of the RNC.
Yeah, I mean, you're mentioning two planks where the RNC is sort of not always of interest to everyone, but it is the actual network and funding mechanism of the party. And then what happens tonight will be seen by far more people than who's a staffer at the RNC, which is, as you say, taking someone who's not just in the Trumpy wing. I mean, we could, you and I can name other Republicans who are in that wing, but then are nominally independent about this or that issue or have their own policy. With all due respect to Governor Sanders and what she might do in the future, she could have a very long career ahead of her. She is known, and her political career right now is staked on being that last line of defense, defending the indefensible, defending everything Trump did, being a literal face, voice, and stand-in for him. When you see that decision, then what does that tell you about the Republican leadership in D.C. right now?
Well, it's interesting because voters appear to have cooled on Trump. I mean, we see that in the voting returns, and we see that in the polls. Donors have cooled on Trump. it seems to be the GOP leadership that is still very Trumpy and into MAGA. They're sort of trying to make MAGA happen, to use that famous phrase from Mean Girls. And I think what is going on is the MAGA movement is very much aware that maybe Donald Trump isn't their leader. They are very worried that the voter, the MAGA voter, will not show up. If the MAGA voter does not show up, the GOP is in real trouble in future elections. So they want to say that, okay, maybe Donald Trump may not be the future MAGA leader, but we have all the other MAGA things that you know and love. All of that is available to you. It's sort of like the drummer of Spinal Tap always being replaced, but the beat goes on. That's sort of the way I think the Republican leadership is looking at the MAGA movement and how to co-opt it.
Yeah, and I've never heard a direct comparison from Fetch, which they were trying to make happen so aggressively as slang and Mean Girls, and the entire MAGA movement. I think Fetch, while not a great piece of slang, is probably less dangerous to democracy, though, Che.
I agree, but it is a terrible a slang phrase, and I think Regina George was quite right to make sure that it never happened.
And you don't hear a lot of people defend Regina George anymore. I mean, during the spate of her popularity, yes. But by the end of the film, no. So I see you, as always, being a bit of an iconoclast, which we appreciate.
Well, after experiencing Sarah Sanders, I think that Regina George doesn't look as bad in comparison.
It's all relative. It's all relative. I want to play something that actually you alerted us to as we were preparing for tonight's coverage. You mentioned that it is a tough poll to do the response. Doesn't matter what party you're in. But you pinpointed one political example with a kind of a moderate Republican where the pageantry was, in some sense, matched. Let's take a look at this.
We're going to stop violent criminals in their tracks with real prison time for repeat offenders and a workable death penalty. We must send a message to our young people that crime doesn't pay.
Governor Whitman using her power and speaking there before an assembled group. Do we have any indications of what Sanders would do tonight, and why is that tool not used more often?
Well, that was probably the best Republican State of the Union response I can remember. And what it was is basically she was able to match the ambiance on some level of the State of the Union by addressing the state legislature. In addition, Chrissy Todd Whitman, if you remember, was pro-choice. She was pro-gay rights. She was pro-environment. She was specifically picked to appeal to the soccer moms, those Southern women voters who had grown very weary of the Newt Gingrich GOP and gotten scared of them. So they picked her very specifically for that. What has happened now is the opposite thinking has come into play. And Chrissy Todd Whitman has said this. She has said that she would never be picked to do a State of the Union response now because the party has gone so far right that she is no longer considered a Republican. That is kind of the logic at play. This is all playing to a MAGA base, to a MAGA movement, and basically they're telling independent voters, voters on the fence, forget about it, we're not for you.
Yeah, I mean, to riff on the earlier film allegories that you provided with us, the mainstream leadership of the Republican Party has become a bit of a MAGA-centered burn book, if you will.
Right.
And that's no way to treat people.
That is no way to treat people. And I think the independent voters have gotten that message, and which is why they have been departing from Republicans in very large numbers over the last 3 elections.